Heyo, log 40.0. A lot has happened since I last did one of these, what, 2 months ago? And that's why I'm doing this one today. So where to start? Let me start with my grandma, right? So I found out, what was it, only basically 3 weeks ago, maybe four, but it feels like three actually. Yeah, I think three weeks ago or so, that my grandma was diagnosed with cancer. So lung cancer, no less, which hits home, and that it had spread to her kidneys, right? And that it was terminal. And I found out from my cousin who was actually visiting in London at the time, because he and his friend are moving down here. I think he moves in this week or next week, actually. But that was a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks ago, and they were looking for places. Visiting London, it's a Friday. I had them come through and then took them out, right? And when he broke the news to me, I guess he had been with my grandma and my mom, actually, who had been out visiting, at that time, just before he actually visited. Um, and his father was my mother's brother, right? And they had all gone, I forget where, somewhere in England altogether. But my grandma was really not doing well, apparently, like, really kind of weak. At one point, even had to be put in like a wheelchair. Apparently, she had lost a lot of weight. I never saw her. I never saw this, right? Um, and even when he was telling me the news at that time, like he was tearing up. I was like, oh, wow, that's heavy. And I felt bad at the time he was telling me, because only like earlier that week, my mom was trying to reach me, and I was like on the way to the airport, then I was in the airport, and then I told her I'd call her once I got settled. Never really got settled, never called her. But she did let me know via text that, grandma wasn't doing well. And I just thought, I didn't think it was as bad as it turned out to be, actually. Um, but so that had me feeling bad, and it was one of those things where it was like I was traveling for work, and so consumed with how much work matters that, like, I didn't even kind of stop and think that, if my mom's trying to reach me and texting me that my grandma's not doing well, that I should probably give it more weight than I did. I just thought, okay, she'll bounce back, she's a warrior, whatever it may be. And she didn't give me any real detail either, because at the time there wasn't any like diagnosis, just that like grandma's just not seem to be doing well, right? Diagnosis came later. My mom returned right to California. And I guess the one kind of silver lining to such a tragedy basically is that this became the compelling event to get my mom to move back to England, which is something that me and my brother have been hoping for, uh, hoping that she'd come to the decision to make that move sooner than later. Basically, as soon as I moved out here, I was hoping she would finally kind of pull the trigger to kind of turn to England, or at least as soon as it became clear that I was going to be out here for the foreseeable future. You know, when I first came, I thought maybe 3 months, right? Possibly, but made a run of it. Now here for foreseeable future. And that became quite clear, I think, pretty much toward the end of that first year. And was just hoping that my mom would make that move, and even if I didn't stay or whatever, like I was kind of hoping that she would. I just didn't want her to sell the Santa Clara house, was the thing. As long as I work in tech, I still want to have a foothold in the Bay Area. um Especially if the house doesn't have to be sold. Why sell if you don't have to? It could be a great source of passive income for my mom in retirement. But that was always the thing. I just don't want the house to be sold, but definitely want my mom to come here. She should rent it. I mean, the amount of money she can make off of renting it would more than support her, um, living expenses in England. But she was, very almost, I mean, well, shortly after I moved out here, I think at the end of after the first year. So yes, even after that first year, I remember that Christmas, the Christmas of that first year, I was really making the case for her to return, and she wasn't really ready. In fact, she went and took another job after that Christmas, right? And I know she was really happy with taking that job, finally like 6 figures for her, first time in her career, making 6 figures. I made a joke that, you know, if you account for inflation, she was probably making more before, but whatever, right? You know, she's happy. It's cute, you know, the kind of symbolic accomplishment. And I understand the symbolism of it too. I remember when I broke that six-figure barrier, it was a big deal. It's a big deal, right? Personally, I think I understand. And it was a better law firm and this and that. But it was like, why? Right? Like my brother's not in the Bay Area. I'm not in the Bay Area. She's single, divorced. My father's in Turkey. Yes, she has a few friends in the Bay Area, but like she wasn't even happy in the Bay Area, man. She was constantly complaining about what a shithole it was, right? Or has become. But whatever. She took this new job and more power to her. I think in many ways, I think the other symbolism of this job for her was that it was the first that she really found herself or got herself. Other jobs she's had in her, past were, introduced to her by other people, kind of, put in her lap, right? This one took initiative, went and got mission accomplished kind of achievement. And keep in mind, like for like 18 years, from the time I was born through to, I think basically the time I was 16 or 17, I think, she was a housewife. So big gap on her resume, no college degree, but hard worker for sure, very clearly so. She took this new job, but then very quickly kind of began to realize she hated it, So I was like, well, you hate the job. You could play about the Bay Area, be a shithole, come back home. Home for her is England. Be with your family while your parents are still alive. You're fortunate they still are at this age. Come be back with your sister, your brother, your parents, etc. It was kind of the case we were making. You don't have to necessarily retire. In fact, I don't recommend you do retire, but you can come out here and find a job here, right? And it could be any kind of job. It doesn't even need to be about the money. You could even just be working at like a charity shop or something, right? Like whatever it may be, just trying to keep active, because I know that's important to her. I mean, it was a big reason why my parents got divorced the second time, is because she felt like they were living a life of, life of leisure or like idle, in retirement, and she couldn't stand it. She was like, we're way too young to just be sitting around doing nothing, and she wanted to go back to work. But anywho, turned out that coming weekend, right, I was looking to head back to the Bay Area anyways for a buddy's wedding. Congrats, Tony. And a friend of mine, she was back from like Taiwan. Basically, she moved to Taiwan about the same time I moved to London, and this was kind of her return tour, right, from Taiwan back to America. And she is like insisting that I stay like a full week and through to like the following weekend, make a trip of it, because I was really just debating to do like a, maybe an extended weekend, a 4-day weekend in and out for the wedding. I was like, okay, I just needed somebody kind of insist on it, but I had just taken like a vacation, a week or two before, right? Or 2 weeks before. Granted, I took a 2-week vacation, but worked the first week, really. All I did was like cancel my kind of one-on-ones with my team, but still took like customer calls and such. But did take a week off, and then like 2 weeks later, taking another week off. I was like, I don't know. But then with the news that like my grandma wasn't doing well, my mom finally made the decision, right? I'm coming back. Okay, fantastic. Great news, I'll come back and I'll just extend my stay. I hadn't booked the flight. I always leave till last minute booking flights anyways. I hadn't booked it yet. It was a week out. I still hadn't booked it yet. And so, okay, what I'll do is I'll just book it for an extended week and help you kind of clear out the house. So a good plan, works out in many ways. Get to go back for the wedding, help my mom clear out the house, be there for like Rose, whatever party the following weekend, and then come back, right? And at this time too, I had not been doing too well in the 2 weeks that I had been back from vacation. I was hoping that I'd come back like re-energized, motivated, refreshed, rearing to go. It was exact opposite, right? I came back so unmotivated to work, to be honest, right? In that 2-week time frame, I just didn't get back on the horse, really, right? Which makes all the worse. I think that like didn't get back on the horse and then took off another week, right? but I kind of needed it. I wasn't doing well psychologically. Just purely personally, not even anything to do with my grandma at this point, right? Um, and then I go back, right? And I'm really not doing well. Like I think I was all right. People were saying you seem so good, Bora, and stuff, which is great to hear. It's great to see people. Oh my God, like felt like home, right? The people, it's the people really that are home now at this point. It's clear it's not the place. And just seeing the people at the wedding, right? I mean, those are the old drug buddies, but really that's the freaking disservice, right? To, frame it as such, say even that, because they're just really, really good friends, man. I love them all so much, man. And it was fucking, it was like, it was kind of heartbreaking to be back in, heartbreak is not the right word, but like, I don't know, it affected me, man, seeing them all again. Like, in a good positive way, but like in a nostalgic kind of way as well. Um, but good to see everybody basically. And on the topic of nostalgia, following like that wedding, right? Well, let's take a pause, right? So morning after the wedding, wake up Sunday morning, come downstairs relatively early, especially for me, given I had been up till like 7 a.m., right? And came home at like 7 a.m. It wasn't that late when I came down. And then my mom's in the kitchen, turns to me, she's like, I've got some news. And immediately I'm like, oh no, I know. Your mom's passed away. Oh my God. Okay. Ooh, her mother passed away. So, part of the reason I was out there was to help clear the house so she could return to England to be with her mother, because my mother wasn't doing well. Now her mother's gone, my grandma's gone, and I'm really there to now, same mission, clear out the house, help her move back so she can be with my grandfather, my granddad, her dad, her father, So mission's the same. Is unfortunate, right? I guess that she couldn't really be with my grandma, there at the end. But at the same time, knowing my grandma, and I know my grandma, like she wanted to go fast. And there's no doubt in my mind that she knew something was wrong long before, long ago, right? Within 2 weeks of her receiving the diagnosis, of everybody finally like saying no, insisting on taking her in to get checked out and getting that diagnosis, she passed away. Right. So that was late stage cancer. There's no doubt in my mind that she knew something was amiss long before, letting on. And at no point did she even let on, right? Everyone else was insistent on taking her in to the doctor because she had lost so much weight so quickly. And those suddenly became very weak, right? So, now, one thing I will say is that when I found out the news from my cousin, keep in mind, it was only 2 weeks, I think, between me getting the news from my cousin and my grandma passing away, is, I reached out to my grandma via like Facebook Messenger, because she would always call me via Facebook Messenger. So I just called her. I didn't know what to type. I didn't know what to say, right? So I'm just going to call. And even that took like to kind of like, just do it, like just call her, right? Get this, right? I called her twice, right? And then it became clear to me later that the person I was calling was my grandma's name, but it was fucking a fraudster or something. Somebody had set up an account with her name and was, my mom mentioned this too, that she quote unquote got hacked. It's not that I think my grandma got hacked, it's that somebody set up a different account with the same name. Very weird. I don't know what the fuck that was. Like creepy, uncanny weird. I was literally calling a fraudster, not my actual grandma. Like, what the fuck, right? So weird. Long story short, didn't never even speak to my grandma between finding out the news and her passing away, which I feel bad about. And now, that's a lesson learned. Never again, man. Like, as soon as you hear somebody's not doing well, like, don't even delay. Yeah. And really it was because I wasn't sure what to say, and it's not like it's all, not I don't know if I'm good or bad at this stuff, but like I've never really dealt with it, right? Like I was kind of cowardly, I guess, about it. But she didn't have a phone, her own phone. There's no excuses, right? Um, oh, I didn't have a phone number. She had recently got a phone. They had recently insisted she get a phone, but I didn't have a phone number. But anywho, so at least though I'm out there with my mom when she gets this news, and I'm there to help my mom kind of clear out the house, right? And in clearing out the house, keep in mind, this is not my childhood home. This is, we sold my childhood home uh, right around, right before I took the job at Digital Genius. So like, let's say like literally like weeks before I took the job at Digital Genius. Yeah, so like, that's 5.5 years ago. And then we moved to this townhouse and moved a lot of stuff. I mean, we did some cleaning, clearing, kind of purging, of course, right? In that move from my childhood home to the townhouse. Yes, but in cleaning out this house, I mean, I was like coming across stuff that I had kept, of course, like hidden away in little boxes and stuff like this, right? Mementos and love letters, like from high school, right? And I always knew they were there, right? Not ever forgotten, of course, but I knew sometime I would go through them. But that week was the time to go through them and throw them away, right? And just reading through those, more like kind of not nostalgia, but like, I don't know, affected me, I guess, to say. I don't know what the words are aside from like felt affected, right? And like my high school girlfriend was an angel, man. She was so good to me, honestly. I was such a dick, dude. Like, she made me a better man for sure. That much is without a doubt. And just reading those, I mean, if you have like little high schooler, right, girl kind of notes, right? They're little works of art, right? Like doodling and like kind of cutesy, like the notes. And I don't know, I'm not trying to describe it, but like it's a work of art. It's its own special something, right? A little fucking, you know, little girl love letters, right? Puppy love letters, let's say, right? And then coming across pictures like of other girlfriends, camera. One other girlfriend bought me, looking through the camera, pictures of us from like, at this point, right, 12 years ago, no, 11 years ago. So all that like memory lane stuff, while I'm really not doing well. And what I mean by not doing well is that, like, I don't know, like, it was not a good time, I think, for me to come back, because other times when I came back, like for instance, the holidays, I mean, there's only one other time I came back, right? And all the time since I've been out here. But when I came back for the holidays at the end of last year, at least like I was feeling good about work, where I would, what my job, I was kind of coming back with kind of feeling accomplished and happy and like content and excited for the future. None of that was true this time around, right? Like I really was not happy at work, and that's my life, right? So if I'm happy at work, there's nothing else for me to really kind of fall back on, unfortunately, and that's got to change, of course, right? Now it can, so now no excuses. I mean, I had plenty, of course, in the first 2 years, but this last like 6 months or so, basically since March at least, no excuses, time to kind of diversify the portfolio of my life. So it's not all just centered around work. But yeah, I just really wasn't feeling work. And that took a vacation 3 weeks prior, then 2 weeks back, wasn't really able to get back on the horse, feeling incredibly unmotivated, and taking another week off and not feeling accomplished, right, in any way, and really kind of questioning it all on a deeper level, right? So yeah, that sucked, right? But did see some good friends, but I felt bad because I wasn't really kind of like on it either, right? It's kind of just like distracted and in my head, man, and I feel bad, right? But those are good friends, like friends for life for sure. And just so good to see them. And honestly, they were, whether they realized it or not, like they were a type of therapy for me, that had that, coming back, that I really felt the effect of them, right? Even though in the time they can't really kind of make my thing switch. They can't make my head switch because I'm always stuck in my head like that, but once I got away, I really did feel the lingering impact of like the catharsis that seeing them gave me, honestly, just came kind of later, right? Upon return. So yeah, yeah, yeah. So now I'm back, and my mom is back. I went up there last weekend to see her. Went up for an on-site with a key customer in Manchester, and Huddersfield isn't far, right? Leeds slash Huddersfield's where my grandparents live. Murfield to be exact. And said, I went up there with one of my CSMs. Did book a train ride back to London, but once we went up, I was like, actually, never mind that ticket back. You're good to go back on your own. I'm gonna go, what would it be, east, right? To see my mom, right? It was her first weekend herself as well, right? And kind of surprised mom. I didn't tell them I was coming until until I was until right before the on-site started. I said, actually, you know what? I may come over I'm gonna come over. I don't know exactly when. We'll see if the customer wants to maybe go out for dinner after, but I'll be there, right? Very last minute, and that's where I prefer to play it. I don't like. I'll book it the last minute rather than trying to. Yeah, that's my preference. Yeah, it was good to see them, good to see family. But that weekend there again, still hadn't really, it was still not snapped out of it yet, right? Last week was not good, right? That on site went well. That was that Friday, and actually that was the beginning of the turnaround in a sense. But like that weekend, seeing grandparents and everything, like I was just very lazy, just on my phone all weekend. One of those weekends just lounging around on my phone, not really engaging. But there, present, good to see my grandfather. Seems to be doing well, all things considered, right? And see my mom. We went shopping. My mom, I'm granted I bought the clothes, but my mom and my aunt and my aunt's friend all helped pick out some clothes for me. I could really use some new clothes, right? In fact, part of the reason I think I'm not more active is when I open my wardrobe and look at my clothes. I have a decent amount of clothes, but it's all crap. I just look at it, I'm like, I don't want to wear any of that, right? And I'll even try it on and be like, why the fuck this sucks, right? And then take it off and get frustrated, and it kills the excitement of like getting out and active is my fucking wardrobe, bro. Like, no, not a fan of my wardrobe. So I need to refresh that to give me get me some threads that I'm excited to fucking rock, right? And it look good, I mean, yeah. Yeah. So, did that whole thing. That was nice. That was cool. And just happy to really see my mom at home. I mean, she's a very different person than she's, I think, in England or with her family. And much happier, seeming to me at least. And even given the context circumstances, she just seems like a happier person. And something difficult to deal with, the passing of one's mother, right? But I think it helps that she is where she belongs. I think there's no question in anyone's mind that she should be where she is now. Most importantly, hers. And I think feeling like you are where you're supposed to be is one of the most important things in being able to handle trauma, right? Or like tragedy, right? Or whatever, right? Not just that, right? Feeling like you're where you're supposed to be is so important in so many ways, so many aspects of like life. And that was I think maybe that was my fucking conundrum, right? Is like, is this why I'm like, because closing a chapter on California away. Now, granted, the house is still there and I can always return. I'm still an American citizen, still have friends there, right? But I realized also while I was back that the friends I have there are spread all over, right? Like some came back for the wedding, so it was good to see them there for the wedding. But like post-wedding, it was quite clear that like even if I stayed in the Bay Area, some people are in Oakland, some people in San Francisco, some people, well, actually nobody's in San Francisco. Some people are in Oakland, they're here, there, everywhere. Like I don't know how much I would even see of people, even if I was still there. But there was this kind of thing in my head is like, where am I really where I'm supposed to be right now? You know? Not to say that I thought I should be back in the Bay Area. I don't know. I really, it was just kind of like, it was muddled thinking, right? Um, and, you know, just kind of emotional, I don't know how to say, right? Without really any kind of logic or thinking straight or like, or even now I still haven't sorted it, right? I feel like I just kind of brush it off. I don't think I've kind of sorted it in my head, right? How I was feeling then or why. But feeling better, at least, I guess, you know. It's like I didn't resolve anything. I think I just kind of pressed on past it, right? Because even now trying to talk about it, I don't know how to explain, but um yeah. And now this week is a good week. Has been a good week. I feel like I've kind of bounced back, right? And I think most of the time you find me doing these, it's because it was a better week, right? Those bad weeks, I don't do these, man. So yeah, I kind of refer back to them. But yeah, you won't see me, you know. So, but this week better. Went into the WeWork on Wednesday, which was good. And then today, which was better, took the initiative without any real reason to go to the WeWork. Last week I did, I mean, not last week, on Wednesday I did, I forget for what reason, what the reason was, but part of it was that we were all going for dinner later, right? So I'll meet up at the WeWork, then go for dinner together from there. Okay, cool. I'll meet up at the WeWork. Oh, and yes, and the other execs wanted to kind of do session on Wednesday. So we had like a sustained like 2 hour kind of, just meeting. So that was the reason I was there. But today, or last night, I decided I'm gonna go in unprompted, right? I'm just gonna go in, no real reason to. But Fridays, I really don't have like really recurring customer calls. I leave it open for like pilot reviews and annual reviews and all these big like reviews, right? Is what I leave Fridays open for. That and all my one-on-ones with the SEs. But this Friday, no annual reviews, no pilot reviews, just the one-on-ones with the SEs and some like simple tasks I needed to take care of, like more administrative type tasks that I didn't feel I don't really need a monitor for, and feel like I could get done without stressing, right? So great, cool, going in. And I put myself in a room. And you're supposed to book these rooms. I didn't book the room, but nobody, and people constantly came by the room, but nobody kicked me out. No, it was good. I kind of just laid claim to a room that I think I'm supposed to pay for. Pretty sure I'm supposed to pay for it, right? And just hold up in there all day. So, the net difference was, just a little office and we work instead of, here at home. But I fucking loved it. It was great. Like baby steps, right? Um, it was great. And even like going out for cigarettes, yes, it's a little bit of a pain because it's this elevator building, but I've been there, done that before. Nothing new there. But I thought I had a really good day. I thought I was very kind of productive. Next step now is, can I really kind of operate without holding myself up in a room, right? Really take it, really properly experience the WeWork rather than, go treat it like my own corner office, right? But it was cool today to have just like my own little corner office, right? And I was in a good mood, so it helped, right? Or maybe it helped put me in a good mood. I don't know. Chicken or the egg, right? So yeah. And then now what, right? So, oh, and then going into the WeWork too, it's like yeah, I need to get a new wardrobe. So bought something earlier. I'm going to do some more shopping after this. I just want to buy a whole new wardrobe, just trash everything or donate, I guess, right? Everything I've got, right? Just clear it out. Not even pick and choose, just like fucking none of it's worth really keeping. There's a few things, a few clothing items I like and I'm sentimental about, but like 90% of it, just go trash or donation box, basically. Just start fresh. I need a new fresh start anyways. Part of that plays into like maybe I get a new apartment too. It's been on my mind, but I don't like getting a new place with like daylight savings time change, right? Because wherever then I go move to, I'm just going to be in the dark, right? For the first 4 or 5 months of living in that place, right? I'd rather just wait until like March and then get a new place and then be on that March cadence, right? Like when that lease is up and I might be forced to find another lease, it'll be in March again, right? With daylight savings going the other way, the better way in the sense of more daylight, right? So that's, I think, what I'm going to do. Just power through this through the holidays and then start looking again in February. And right now is like a horrible time to be looking for places to rent in London. Granted, it may just get worse. We'll see. But I think it's like an all-time worst right now is what people are saying or what I'm hearing. Then I'm also thinking maybe about buying a place, but here again, to the point of being where it belongs, I'm not sure where to buy a place. I'm like, do I buy a place in London? Do I buy a place in Yorkshire where family is at? Do I buy a place somewhere else altogether? Right? You know, where do I buy a place? Maybe I just start looking and maybe fall in love with something. Now, granted, now is a good time. Now because I've been fortunate, I kept most of my money in US dollars. There was a time where I regretted it, right? Because the pound was doing so well against the dollar. But now, you know, it's paying off. Now that, I mean, never before have the dollar and the pound been so close to one another. It's basically equal. So now my dollars go a lot further. But if I'm really talking about buying a house, the rates are so bad right now that I don't know if that makes sense, but also people aren't really selling. So there's limited kind of stock or small, not a lot on the market rather, right? But maybe I'll start looking at just buying. Like I'm ready to fucking put down roots. But I'll be honest, it's like I don't know where to stick those roots, right? And that's kind of a little bit unsettling, right? I'm 30 fucking 4. I should know where I want to fucking settle down already. Goddamn. Or maybe I'm just a nomad. Man, maybe from here, maybe not buy something. Maybe just see through this company another year or 2 years, and then fucking travel the world, find my wife, or travel the world with my future wife, or whatever, right? Yeah, this is the thing, like where I gotta kind of give some thought to, because yeah, it would be nice to have our own little piece of corner of the world, right? I guess I just gotta go and look at some places and maybe something will really speak to me and yeah, seeing is believing sort of thing. I don't know, we'll see. On that note though, I need to get a life going, right? You know, so first step towards that was bringing back my golf clubs from US. I'm not a big golfer. I've golfed on an actual course twice in my life, right? But I did buy all these clubs in like October of 2019. And granted, I moved out here February 4th, left February 4th, arrived February 5th, right? 2020. You know, so I was buying all these clubs leading up, but then you know, I bought them all on the cheap, all used, right? Everything was the cheapest, like the best value buys, right? Did all my research on the clubs, having never golfed in my life, right? You know, like did all the research, you know, blah, 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 decide which brand I wanted to get, what brand I wanted my driver to be, what brand I wanted my club putter to be, my wedges, my irons, my balls. Even bought a little ball marker that says titties and like that Titleist font. I'm titties. That's what people call me. Multiple people. And my bag and turquoise or teal, my teal type, right? And yeah, I was fucking excited, right? About like taking up golf as a hobby. But then shortly after that, I hit up the range quite a bit when I first got my shit together in the putter range and stuff. And I was quite keen on it, but it's still early stages, right? It's too early to say if it was going to stick, as a hobby. But then I moved out here. I didn't bring them with me. Now I brought them back, right? So tomorrow, granted it's raining now, but maybe tomorrow I'll go and hit up not the course because I'm not there yet, right? But driving range with a little putting green that I can like putt on and get some balls on, and I don't know, get the fuck out. Some kind of excuse to get the fuck out. That's not just like, only other thing that's gotten me the fuck out today is, yes, if a friend here or there hits me up to get out, but keep in mind I don't have very many up here, right? But also is just like a couple of times it's been shopping. Oh, I need shoes for this wedding, right? Or blah blah blah, right? I get out and do like something like on my own initiative, right? Not by invitation, and not by necessity or circumstance, right? Oh, I need to go get some like dress shoes for this wedding I'm invited to, right? Just purely by my own initiative and on my own, right? And that's where golf is great, because golf is something you can just pick up your clubs, go out on your own and do it yourself, right? But at the same time, can be social, lends itself to, more social, it lends itself to socialization as well, not just like, hitting the gym, which is always just going to be kind of an isolated exercise. Yeah, you could have a gym buddy. I've had those in the past too, but like, it's not really a social activity. But like golf is something I can practice personally, individually, that I can also be an avenue to socialization as well. The re-socialization of Bora Tidizer. Fuck, man. Yeah, like after fucking 3 years, almost 3 years, coming on 3 years of basically pure isolation. I'm proud of myself. That's cool. I'm impressed by how okay I was with how I've been. That said, how I've been is not that okay. Like all that smoking I'm doing, eating horribly. Oh my God, right? So the GP, we have these GPs here in the UK, our doctors. And credit to them, man. They actually like get in touch and stuff. And they were trying to track me down, granted for a blood test. It's been a while since I've taken one. And he hopped on a call with me, and I didn't like his voice, period, right? And we scheduled an 8 a.m. call with me. I said in the morning, he says, how about 8 a.m.? I said, okay, at least that won't interfere with my task, because I'm never up at 8 a.m. Sure, I'll wake up for this. It's just carving out time that otherwise I wouldn't have been doing anything anyways, rather than trying to insert my doctor in my day, just disrupting my day, right? Just okay, sure, fine. I'll wake up and we'll take a call at 8 a.m. tomorrow, whatever. Asking, how's your diet? Crap. Are you exercising? No. Do you smoke? Yes. How much do you smoke? I lied. 1 pack a day. It's 2 packs. How are you sleeping? What? No, absolutely fine. What hours are you sleeping? Like 3 to 9 a.m. Okay. What other questions? Do you have any support like it here, right? No, I don't have a significant other, nothing, right? No, I have family up north. Where up north? Leeds area. Okay, got it. Right? So basically every question he asked me, the point I'm trying to make here is whether you get it or not, I was fucking giving fail answers, right? Diet fucking sucks. Exercise, not at all, right? Do you have like any support, significant other? No, right? The hours, how's your sleep? Those hours are pretty weird, crappy, right? And to be honest, that's a lie as well. I get less sleep than what I even told them. Do you live with other people? No, on your own, right? Kind of touched on that one already, but basically like all these, and I got very fucking defensive too, man. Like, and all I just wanted them to give me, what he was trying to get me to is a blood test, right? Well, first check in, but then you need to go get a blood test. I'm like, dude, just guys, give me my meds. This is like a thing. I'm like, you're kind of holding my meds hostage, right? I need them fucking now. They'll never hold the lithium hostage. Of course, what they're playing games with is the Elvance, right? Which is basically amphetamine. I understand. Vyvanse in America. But like, don't play games, right? Like, fucking, I'll get the blood testing at some point, bro. Like, fuck it. Like, I'm not like, fuck you. Just give me my meds, right? And I got really defensive. I kind of bit off his head, and then I even apologized to him too. I'm like, I'm sorry, like I know I was being very defensive and rude. It's just like I don't know you, right? Because what he started to get into is, what do you think we can do to change the, what strategies, or what do you think we can do to kind of change these things? I'm like, bro, like, I don't even know what you look like, bro. What do you think this is going to change? What are we talking about? Are you talking about me quitting cigarettes, me eating better, or me exercising, or me having like significant other effectively, right? That wasn't the question. Do you have a significant other? It was like, do you live with anyone else? Do you have a support system, right? No, I don't, right? Like all these four things that like are like I'm failing on, like you want to talk about what I need to do to change all these things on this call at 8 a.m.? I've never even met you. I don't like the sound of your voice, right? I just want to get my fucking meds, right? Like, I've been here fucking 3 years. And by the way, I'm not doing well at this time too. This was that in between before I went back to California, and in that in between time, like I really wasn't doing well, right? And I think he sensed that also, right? Um, but I'm like, what do you mean? Are we really right now going to talk about what we can do, what I can do to fucking improve my diet, right? Like to exercise, all the things I know I need to do but haven't been for far too long now. And it's not even just like the last 2 years. I mean, this is basically since fucking high school. I haven't exercised since high school. My diet's been shit since anytime I've ever lived on my own. My diet's been crap, right? Anytime my mother hasn't been feeding me, basically my diet's been crap. Exercise, not since high school. Love life or support system. My support system was great back in the States, actually. My friend, I really, when they talk about like love language, right? I get all my love languages from my fucking friends, except for physical touch, right? So my love language is physical touch because I get everything else I need from my friend network. And like I have such good friends that even being out here in London, I do not feel isolated. Like I don't even, it sounds weird to say, but it may sound illogical, but like I don't even miss my friends because it's like I know they're there, right? If I ever need them, they're there. If they ever need me, I'm here. Like that's how like deep and tight and connected like I feel with my, inner circle of friends. And so much so that I feel I could go anywhere in the world and I don't feel alone, man. Like they're all just like a call away. And that became quite clear coming out here in the last 2 years. There's those that I talk with on the phone in ways and at length that I never did previously, right? Because we just meet up, right? But yeah, man, like I get all I need from my friends in that regard, right? I just need some fucking toca della feminina, basically. But anyways, like I just got so defensive. I like kind of yelled at him, right? And I kind of bit his head off. And then really quickly tried to fucking reel it back because I need my meds. And the doctor, I've been there. A doctor can put me on a 5150 like nothing in America, right? Like I didn't want to, not that I thought that might happen, but like, well, could, right? I was like, bro, like be careful. You're being like kind of manic, right? And he's like, oh, like any manic. Oh, that's the other thing. He's like, any like manic like tendencies? And I was like, or like, kind of symptoms you've experienced lately? I'm like, not really, but like, sometimes like irritability. And I was being like ultra irritable. I was also like, dude, it's also 8 a.m. in the morning. I haven't had my coffee. I told him that. And he, called back to that at the end of the call. He's like, next time we'll have a call, after you have a chance to have your coffee, right? By the way, in England, they don't drink coffee, they drink tea. Coffee is a very American thing. So it's me coming through clearly as American, not just via the accent, but like, hey man, I haven't even had my fucking coffee. But yeah, thank God he signed off on the meds and like I was supposed to take a blood test the next day, but there's this bullshit about like now apparently I have to print it. I don't have a fucking printer. I'm supposed to go somewhere to the King's Cross surgery or something and get this printed off there and then take that to the fucking blood test place because the blood test place can't print it off for me there. Well, I don't understand. They used to in the times past, I would go to the blood test place, not have this piece of paper or whatever, and I would just call King's Cross surgery and King's Cross surgery would fax it over. Now they're saying new policy, we don't do that anymore. So I actually did hustle to go to that fucking blood test place in the same way I had every other time. And the guy did tell me, he said, you got to make sure to print it out. I was like, yeah, whatever, right? Never have done it before. I didn't realize that I guess there's been a recent policy change and now what the fuck? Like I have to go pick up the piece of paper from King's Cross from the King's Cross surgery or print it off myself, which I don't have a fucking printer. Who the hell does anymore, you know? Why the fucking can't you just send what you need to the blood test place? Why can't they just print it, right? But anyways, that's what I used to do. I just show up and they'd be like, oh, you need this thing. Oh, okay, I'll call. And then they fax it over, all good, right? And this time, no. So these doctors have been blowing up my phone. The doctor hasn't been blowing. The doctor actually did call me directly a couple of times, and that's how we led to this like call I had with him. But the King's Cross surgery is like chasing me down for this blood test, and now it's 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later. Somebody's calling me on my phone. I don't know who. I keep ignoring, right? Could be recruiters, could be fucking King's Cross. Still haven't got that blood test, but definitely will before. I'll tell you exactly when I get the blood test. I will get I need to get it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. I need to get it in the next week. Next week. Fuck. Okay. It's not a big deal, actually. Actually, what I will say about the NHS, very impressed. I must say, guys, like America, you fucking are stupid, you know? Yeah. NHS is, in my experience, been really legit. And on that note, much love. Be happy. Do good. And there's definitely more I could talk about. But how long has it been? I can't even see. There's not like a timer on Zoom. We'll come back to that another day. Love you, Mom.